Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jason and you're watching Jason Jensen Trains. In today's episode, we're back working on our HO scale layout. We'll be working in this area trying to get more structures built to fill in this entire area so that we can move on to doing scenery work. We're going to build a pool hall, finish work on a barber shop and a burger shop. All right, like always, we have a lot to do, so let's get to it. Okay, today we are building Shakey's Pool Hall. And it is from Scale Models. And the web address is right there. Alright, the first thing we'll do is we'll read the instructions, and that'll give us a good idea of how everything fits together. Okay, the first thing we need to do is brace the walls, and it has a guide showing you where the bracing goes. But before you do that, after you cut the walls out of the sheet, you want to take a file and file the edges, because it has these little nubs from where it gets cut out of the sheet. So we just want to file those. Doesn't take long, pretty quick. This will ensure that your corners all line up and there's no little gaps. Okay, I've got all of the walls braced. I added nail holes using a Pounce wheel. Let me show it to you. Here's the Pounce wheel, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to get one of these to add nail holes. Next, we're going to stain the walls. And we're using Marine Teak from Best. And the website is right there. Okay, the walls are all stained. Now we're going to paint them, and we're going to use light buttermilk. Well, as you can see, the white is on the walls. I went really light. I pretty much dry brushed the walls. Then, with all of the doors and the windows, I sprayed a gray primer. I even sprayed gray primer on the corner trim, on the wood. The trim that goes around the top, all with a gray primer first. And that seals the wood. Then, after it dried, I sprayed everything with moss green. And they're both from Rust-Oleum. Now I need to put acetate in the windows. I'll do that, and then we'll glue the doors and windows into the walls. I forgot to mention that I did some sponging after the green dried. And I used Camel from Folk Art. I also went over some of the walls and I sponged some of that camel color just to get the edges of the siding and just to make it look like it all matches. Now the only reason I used the camel color is because it matched the stained wall pretty well. So this little part here, I didn't paint, I didn't put white on it, I just left it the raw stain. And as you can see, it's close enough. So if you stain your walls darker or maybe more of a gray color, you're going to want to use a different color for all of your chipping. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, we've got some of the walls glued together. So now we have to build the front. And then once we get that in place, we can bevel the edges to make this fit properly. That puts us on to step 8, building the front. Okay, so I built the front and glued it in place. It's really simple. I first put together the 2 pieces that make up the steps. They're wood, just glue them together. I painted them gray and then sprayed everything else green, put a gray primer on it first, then sprayed it green, and then put it together. And then just had to bevel the edge a little bit so that that wall fit in there. Now I'm making mine different because mine sits underneath an elevated track, so I can't do the peaked roof. So this roof is going to be flat, and then we'll put a flat roof here too. So let's do that next. I took a sheet of black construction paper and I just did a light misting of gray primer over it, and then I just cut it into strips. And then if you mix them up and glue them on, you can see that it creates a variety of shades on there. I'm hoping you can see that. And then simply take a fine point Sharpie and draw lines on there to make it look like tar. I'm excited to place this on the layout because I know exactly where it's going to go. So there's a sidewalk in front, and then it turns and goes this way. And there's another big building that sits here close to it, so it creates an alleyway right here at this same angle. Maybe we'll do this roof here. Now this one here, they slightly get overlapped. That one has to be trimmed a little bit. A little too wide. dried glue on there. Okay, now we'll go ahead and do this roof out here. Okay, so the roof is done, and I've started adding some signs. And these signs all came with the kit. Now we're just going to do a little bit of dry brushing on the rooftop, and then we're going to add a few details on the roof. Okay, and for the dry brushing, I was using light gray. And it's a dry brush paint from Ammo. Okay, let's get our details put on the roof. First, we need to put a gray primer on them. Okay, I just sprayed the gray primer on them. These did not come in the kit. These are my own personal detail parts. These can be found on my website at jasonjensentrains.com. You know, I should have. You know what? We'll put another piece of tape, and then I can paint them right on here. Makes it easier. Okay, all the details are glued in place, and I did take some pastel chalks, some pigments, and went around these metal parts and then went along the bottom all the way around. And I had some dirt coming down here. Anywhere that you think dirt would collect, like on the ledge up here, there would be dirt. Down at the bottom along here, in the walkway there, along the bottom, all along up here. Okay, let's set this aside for now. We will put some more signs on it eventually, but let's switch to another building that I've already got going. A couple, actually. Okay, real quick, we're going to finish this barber shop. I'll show you where we're at so far on it. I really like the back of this. Now I'll show you, this was a free kit from Foscale Models. It was released in September 2022. Here's the kit, but you can see right here, you can see how skinny it was. I put a peaked roof on mine, and that piece came from a kit bash that I was working on, and I needed this to be a flat roof, so I just left off that triangle piece at the top, and I simply put it on there. So don't be worried if you don't use things from a kit like this. We left off the entire domed roof with the see the domed roof with the what are they called? Dormers. The dormers. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. We'll use that. We'll definitely, in that trim, the decorative trim that goes along there, we'll just save that. We'll set it aside, and use it for a different kit. Same with, there's a billboard, so the framework we can use on the rooftop of something else. So don't be concerned when you don't use everything for a kit. You're like, oh, I paid good money for this, I want to use everything that came in it. Well, eventually you will. Maybe just not on the kit you're building. Okay, back to this. You can see that I went blue and white, where on the model here shown, it's all white. So I just tried to match the color of the sign the best I could. Now I need to paint. I don't know if it'll show. It shows right now, and it kind of bothers me, the white around the bottom. Eventually that'll get put into, there'll be dirt around it or cement, and it won't show. But for now, let's get that painted. We're going to use Castle from Folkart. Okay, I'm also putting a little vent right at the very top here. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it. So I'm going to make a black square before I glue that in place. Hopefully I made it big enough. Okay, and this vent looks old and dirty. Okay, one more detail. We're going to put a really small pipe right back here. Okay, that one is finished. Now we'll move on to this one, which is a hamburger stand. It's a project that I had started, and I started it like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so what I do is, if I start a project and I move on to something else, I'll take a Ziploc bag and put all of the rest of the parts. And sometimes it requires a bigger Ziploc bag to put all the parts in, but let me show you the picture. Now notice mine. So I put this little structure here on the other side. So the walls were just solid, so you're able to put that on. You could even put it on the back side if you wanted. You could put it anywhere. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is put tar paper on the roof. If you're wondering what the yellow color is on this, it is Summer Squash. It's a spray paint. So I sprayed all the parts that I wanted yellow, and then with a sponge to get the peeled paint look, the chipping paint, I sponged a color called Fawn. Now, I don't know if they still make this, or maybe they've changed the name of it, but I usually buy like 4 colors at a time. So even if they've stopped making this, I have enough for years and years. Just by buying 4 of these, that'll last a very long time. Well, the roof is all done. Now we have to put signs on it and details. But real quick, I wanted to point this out to you. Hopefully you can see this on camera. Look at the 3 rooftops. And notice that each building is different. And this is to create a story that, each owner used different types of tar paper, or that they were built at different times. But you don't want everything to match. I'm really hoping that you can see the difference on camera. Okay, let's get back to this, and let's see. I think we can go ahead and glue our sign on there. Okay, now I'll get the signs glued on top of this one. Okay, the signs are done, and I even painted the burger and put it up on the roof. Now, if you're wondering about colors on the burger, if you have this at home and you're going to paint it, let me see. The bun was antique gold, and then around the edge, a little bit of terracotta, just a little bit. I did a wash just around the edge of the buns. The lettuce, festive green. The cheese, saffron yellow. And, well, the tomato I did red, but then went over it a little bit here and there with burnt orange. Oh, and the patty, it's old rust. And then I dry brushed it. I dry brushed everything with, pardon my reach, light skin. Okay, our pool hall is in place. This is the back side of it. I don't know yet what is going on with the land here. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that. And we have to have a retaining wall along here. And of course we have to do taller girders and do some type of girders and panels up here to support that track. Let me show you the front of it. So there's the front of it, and there is that alleyway. See it right there. Let me go over here so you can better understand how this works. Sorry about the camera. All right. So there's a road that goes through here and down in front of this, down a slight hill right there, and then back out that way and downhill there. So I'll have a sidewalk going up the hill right here in front of those stores. And this will all get filled in with concrete, and there'll be a retaining wall. And then right across the street from it, we have the barber shop. And again, there'll be a sidewalk on that side of the street too. Now we have another big structure right here, and that is a big apartment building. Now I'm going to have to change it because, as you can see, that's the footprint. Instead of an L, we're going to make that a triangle. So by making it a triangle, we may have some extra pieces to actually make it taller. This section is really starting to fill up. And then we have a lot of scenery work to cover up all of that white styrofoam. But as you saw in previous videos, the scenery work that we did along here actually goes pretty quick. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Hope you enjoyed today's video. And a huge thank you to all of my Patreon members. You guys are incredible. I appreciate you so much. All right, well, until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.